Hello again. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for Everyman IT, and today's class is Introduction to Hacking. So this is the starting class in our hacking track. So our hacking track is going to teach you how to hack computers, hack networks, etc. One of the things that I'm going to tell you right here and now is that as far as I am concerned, hacking is simply a technical skill set. So understanding how hacking works, understanding how hacking attacks happen, being able to plan hacking attacks, etc., is simply just a technical skill set. Now, you have to understand, if you decide to do hacking in the real world, you are liable for any legal ramifications for that. So if you steal somebody's data that you're not supposed to steal or look at, or you slow down systems, or you destroy systems, etc., that is all on you. Do not blame me. In this hacking track, I'm going to explain to you how to do hacking based on how malicious hackers would attack. So we're going to talk about, how you plan attacks, why you would do hacking, what you can do with hacking, once you're into it. But like I say, this is all for informational purposes. If you actually decide to hack anything, that's all on you. Don't come and blame me. So this class today is Introduction to Hacking. We're going to talk about what hacking actually is. Most people don't understand what hacking really is. We're going to talk about who hackers are. So who are the hackers out there? We're going to talk about laws. We're going to talk about planning attacks. We're going to talk about how you actually do an attack, etc. So these are basically the high-level concepts of what you have to understand when you're going to go into hacking for yourself. So this is Introduction to Hacking. Give me a second and we'll dive into this class. So the first question that we have to answer is, what is hacking and who are hackers? Well, basically, to boil down hacking to its simplest form, all hacking is its non-conventional ways of interacting with systems. So what do I mean by this? Non-conventional ways of interacting with systems. Well, when a computer operating system is created, the designers of that computer operating system figure out how they want you to interact with that computer. So you may double-click on icons, you may right-click, you might run a command, etc. This is the conventional way you are supposed to interact with the computer. A non-conventional way of interacting with the computer is by trying to interact with that system in a way that the designers did not intend for you to interact with that system. So to give you a hint, if you're trying to open up a file, let's say you're trying to open up a Word file on a computer, the conventional way of opening up that Word file is to boot up the operating system, have Windows, log in, double-click on the file, and it opens up in Word. That is a conventional way of accessing that file. A non-conventional way of accessing that file is booting the computer off of a Linux live CD, so that the operating system is now that Linux live CD, then going into the computer and then accessing the document using the Linux live CD operating system. Now, why this is important is because if you boot the computer off of the Windows operating system, the Windows operating system has security and it has permissions. So if you boot off the Windows operating system, you may not have permission to see that file. So when you go to open up the file, Windows will tell you you do not have permission to view the file. Well, if you boot the system off of a Linux live CD, those security parameters are not understood by the Linux live CD. So even if you are not supposed to have access to that file or folder, you can get into it lickety-split, because basically the live CD does not view and does not care about the permissions. So that's all hacking is. It's how do you get at information, how do you get at systems without going through the normal way. So a lot of programs keep their information in INI files or data files. So the way that you normally view those data files is by opening up the application, and you're looking at a window and it tells you what's there. Another way you could go in is to actually open up the DAT file in a text editor and see all of the information that is stored there. So hacking, that's all hacking is. It's simply non-conventional ways of working with systems and getting to data. Now, when you're talking about hackers, you will hear of something called hats. So you will hear of black hat hackers, white hat hackers, and gray hat hackers. This is a big term, you know, everybody uses it. Well, basically, black hat hackers are the hackers that you are probably thinking about. These are the evil hackers. So black hat hackers are the hackers that are out there to destroy systems, to steal data, etc. These are the bad guys. And I'll use that quotation mark because it gets all really complicated once you get into dealing with real human beings. But to make this all simple, black hat hackers are the bad people. They're stealing data, they're stealing credit card information, they're trying to destroy stuff, etc. Then you have what are called the white hat hackers. White hat hackers are basically people that are the little angels of the hacker world. These people don't want to cause damage to anybody. Basically, if they are hacking, they are looking to discover security vulnerabilities so that they can patch security vulnerabilities. So they may be trying to hack the system, but the sole reason that they're trying to hack the system is always for good, always for the virtuous right reasons. Then you have the gray hat hackers, where most of us, probably 98% of the hacker population, falls into. What does gray hat mean? Gray hat means is basically, it's good or bad depending on the person you're having the argument with. I may think what I'm doing is completely right. I tell my wife what I'm doing, she thinks it's completely wrong, and therefore you have a disagreement on whether it's good or bad. So black hat is what you would consider bad, evil, stealing, destruction, etc. White hat is all the little angels and little saints out there. Gray hat is basically where most of us fall, where we understand how the system works so well that sometimes we modify systems to improve how they work for ourselves. And like I say, gray hat is where, depending on who you're talking to, you may be a saint or a sinner. That's why you're gray. You're just, you're kind of sitting there in the middle. Now, when you're talking about like white hat hackers, you will hear of something called ethical hacking. I hate the term ethical hacking, really. Ethical hacking is basically that you are saying, if you are an ethical hacker, you are saying you are one of these white hat hackers. You only hack ethically. I think it's more just a marketing term. You're a hacker. Why you hack is kind of up to you. Saying that you're an ethical hacker, I don't know. I think it actually kind of muddies the water a little bit. Are you always an ethical hacker? If you're spying on an employee, that might be ethical. If you're spying on your kids, is that ethical? I don't know. But basically, when you hear of ethical hacking, I would argue that this is a marketing concept, and basically what ethical hacking means is that you're one of these white hat hackers, that you only do hacking for the good. So you may hack systems, but you're only looking for vulnerabilities and such. Now, when you're talking about the different skill levels of hackers, there are generally 3 different skill levels. So whether you're black hat, gray hat, white hat, whatever you're hacking, there's 3 general skill levels. The first is like the computer science skill level. These are the really, really impressive people that really understand how things like networking protocols work, operating systems work. I mean, people that can actually program. So they can go in and they can program an operating system. They can modify an operating system. They can create viruses. They can create malware. They can create botnets. So that's the high level of hacking. Whether it's black, gray, or white. You've got this high level. The people that create the viruses, rootkits, etc. Then you have probably my level, is you have more of the technician class of hacker. So hacking has been around a long time now, and so just like Word has gotten easier to use, you know, just like the Windows 7 operating system is much easier to use and more robust than Windows NT was, well, hacking tools are the same way. You know, every year they come out with new and better versions of hacking tools. So back when I started in computers, you know, it was all command line interface, line user interface. You know, you had to type in commands and you had to know exactly what you were doing, and if you didn't, everything was going to blow up. Well, now in hacking, they have these beautiful graphical user interfaces with nice little icons, and it's all really pretty and very easy to use. So for the technician like me, you basically go out and you use tools that are already on the market to do hacking. You may use them in non-conventional ways, but you're not developing a new rootkit. You're not developing, you know, virus software or antivirus software or any of that. You are simply using what is out there, you know, what is open source, what you can purchase, etc. Then you have the lowest level in the hacking world, and that is generally called the script kiddies. Basically, script kiddies are non-technical people that have somehow gotten their hands on scripts, so Visual Basic scripts, you know, malicious code, malicious programs, etc., and they decide to try to use that for their own betterment or for the detriment of other people's. So, you know, this may be a 10-year-old that gets really angry at their teacher at school, so they go home and they download some really nasty virus, and then when the teacher isn't looking, they upload it onto their teacher's computer and fries the computer. Or, you know, on the same hand, you know, I don't, you know, hackers are hackers across the board. It may also be the parent that is trying to be good and make sure that their kids aren't doing things that they're not supposed to do, that installs software onto their kid's computer in order to capture all the instant messaging information, all the email messages, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it may be a parent that's trying to spy on their kids. So it may be kids, it may be parents. Basically, the idea with script kiddies, these are the lowest level people. These are like the consumer people. They don't really understand how computers work. Frankly, they don't really understand what they're doing. They just somehow got their hands on these scripts or these programs and they're trying to use it. So you have the computer science people, really smart. You have the technicians using tools that are already out there. We're technologists. And then you have these lowest level, the script kiddies. Now, finally, you know, we've talked about that you're interacting with systems in non-conventional ways. So the question is, why do people hack? Well, the first reason people hack is to acquire data. For good or for bad, the reason that they're hacking is to acquire data. So if a customer came to me and their operating system on their computer was dead and they needed to do data recovery, I would be hacking that computer to recover their data. So this is their data, their pictures, their programs, etc. So that is hacking to acquire data. You may be on the bad side. You may be hacking to acquire credit card information, to do something nefarious with that in the future. You may be hacking to get passwords. You may be hacking to get contact information from a company. So, you know, if you have a company that is your competitor and you want to try to market to their clients, you may try to hack that company to acquire all of their contact information so you can go after their clients. So the first reason that you may be hacking is to acquire data. The next reason you may hack is for impersonation. So we've heard about this a lot in the news lately, where these, I don't know what's wrong with these people, but like these 40-year-old mothers impersonate 12-year-olds and then go and have weird sordid affairs with other 12-year-old girls on the internet and then make them commit suicide or something. So basically the next reason that you could hack is to impersonate somebody. So this could either be, you know, the normal fraudulent, you are trying to actually impersonate somebody. So let's say you know that one of your competitors is trying to line up a client. You could try to hack into their email system and then send an email to the client that looks like it's coming from the CEO, basically telling the client to go screw themselves, so that the client gets mad. So you might do impersonation that way, you know, that kind of fraudulent. You may impersonate using companies or using people's credit accounts with other companies. So let's say you want to go buy something at newegg.com. You may impersonate somebody else to buy the product and get it shipped to you, type of deal. Or you may do impersonation to launch attacks at an end target. So when you're doing hacking, there may be a lot of victims in order to get to your final target. So let's say your target is up here. You're trying to attack one company or one computer system. You may actually hack into 20 or 30 or to thousands of computers to then, from those computers, attack that final company. So the impersonation may be, you may actually hack into somebody else's computer so that from there you can hack into your final target. The reason is because if there's any investigative work done, it will point to the computer you hacked into and hopefully not to you. Then, of course, there is the destruction motivation. Whether that you're going after, again, a competitor, whether you're going after somebody you dislike, basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to destroy data, you're trying to destroy systems, or you're trying to shut them down. This is big right now with, there's a lot of anti-piracy lawsuits, and so one of the big hacker communities out there has decided that they're purposely trying to shut down the websites of law firms that are trying to sue pirates. So right or wrong, I'm not getting in the middle of it, but basically they are trying to take those websites down. They are trying to do damage to those websites. So they're not trying to steal information. They're not trying to impersonate anybody. They're just, you know, this is fisticuffs in the digital world. The final reason people do hacking, and this may sound strange, but it's true, a lot of people do it for fun. So just like, you know, when I was a teenager, people played Myst, just like people do Sudoku or crossword puzzles or math problems, a lot of people find it very fun to hack systems. You know, so a lot of the people that have tried to hack the Department of Defense or the Pentagon, actually, they haven't been doing it to learn how an atom bomb is created. They have been doing it a lot of times, basically just to see if they can. You know, it's just a little, you know, it's like winning the next level in a video game. Except if they're caught, they go to prison. But, so a lot of people actually do hacking for fun. So basically, as I've said, hacking is simply non-conventional ways of interacting with systems. You have the black hats, the gray hats, and the white hats. Black hats are evil, white hats are good, gray hats are all the rest of us. Again, if you hear of ethical hacking, this basically means white hat hackers. Basically, you're only hacking for good. I think that's a load of crap. It's just a marketing concept. The levels of hackers, again, are the computer science guys, the people that can create viruses, create malware, etc. You have the technicians, the people that use software and systems that are already created, and then you have these script kiddies. The reasons: acquire data, impersonation, destruction, or just for the fun of it. That is who hackers are and what hacking is. So now we need to talk about the fog of law. So if you're hacking for malicious, nefarious, evil reasons, you probably already know you're on the wrong side of the law. So you can tune out this section. For those people out there that are white hat hackers or gray hat hackers, you do need to listen to what I'm about to talk about. You have to understand that, especially in today's climate, privacy and information privacy is a huge issue. On top of it being a huge issue, unfortunately, people passing laws don't really understand how technology works in the real world. And beyond that, the bosses, the people that are going to be telling you what to do, really don't understand how computers and technology work, and they don't understand how the law works, and this can turn into a horrendous mess. So you have to be very careful when it comes to legally hacking. The first thing that you have to understand, you know, if I had my thing, I could underline it. You know, if I had my whiteboard, I would underline this, boldface it, etc., is you have to remember that the person who owns the system is not necessarily the same person who owns the data on the system. This is huge. This is very important. So if you have a server, if your client has a server, your boss has a server, just because they own that server does not mean they legally have the rights to all the data on the server. This is very important. Things like HIPAA laws. So HIPAA is the Health Information Privacy Act, something like that. But basically, it's a law that requires doctors to keep all of their patients' records private. So if the doctor allows their patients' records to get out into the public, that can cause a lot of problems. Also, you can have issues where you have a corporate computer or a corporate system of some sort that you give to an employee to take home, etc. Let's say they're a off-site salesperson or a field technician. Well, that computer is owned by the company, but you have to be very careful about things like email and such that is stored on that computer. There was a big case where a SWAT team member, I think it was out in California not that long ago, he was issued a cell phone by the police department. He was doing private text messaging on that cell phone, and it was bad stuff. He was like having an affair. He was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do, and therefore he got fired from the police department. That police officer, that SWAT team person, took the police department to court because he said that was his private information that was sitting on the phone that the police department owned, and that the police department violated his privacy. I'm not joking. I don't understand how this gets through the courts, but he won that lawsuit. So you have to remember that like I say, the system may be owned by the company. The data on the system may not be owned. So you have to be very careful. So, like I say, if you have a boss and an employee got fired, and that boss gives you a computer and he says, I want you to hack into this computer and get some information, you have to be careful about what information you're getting. If you're going in there to get information that may be private information, that may be a problem for you. I am not a lawyer, I am not a legal expert, so I will tell you, please use your gut instinct on this. So if you think you are hacking an employee's personal information, even if it is on a corporate system, just don't do it. Just stay away from it. I would highly argue, if you're dealing with the corporate world, if you're dealing with the organization world, you should push for your boss or the organization leader to make every employee sign a contract that states any information that is on or transmitted through the electronic devices that the enterprise owns is for public display. So basically, like some of these call centers, when the person is hired, they're told that they will be monitored from time to time. So a boss can pick up the phone and listen to a conversation that employees are having. This is the type of thing that you should have, because as the hacker in this thing, you are the one actually perpetrating the hack, and therefore you may get sued at the end of the day. And not only that, but like I say, bosses and employers don't always think about these kind of things, and you as a professional should be thinking about this. So remember, the person who owns the computer is not the same person who owns the data. Private information, understand, if you're going after private information, there is a very, very, very good chance you are breaking privacy laws, again, even if it's on the corporate laptop. So be careful of this. Now let's talk about the ways to attack. So the ways to attack systems, the ways to attack a company. The first thing that you should realize in an attack is, I know in the movie world, all anybody has to do to launch an attack against the company or whatever is they sit down at one single computer, they start typing this code really quick, and then 5 minutes later, nuclear missiles are set off in Montana or something. Well, that is not how hacking happens in in the real world. Hacking is generally a multi-stage process to get to the end result. So this is not something you're just going to sit down at your computer generally and in half an hour or an hour you're going to do. It's going to be a multi-day, a multi-week, possibly a multi-month process. You're going to be acquiring information numerous ways. You're going to be creating vulnerabilities in the systems you're trying to attack in numerous ways, etc. So the ways that you're going to attack and set up the attack for your target, you're going to be looking at physical ways, you're going to be looking at digital ways, and you're going to be looking at social ways, something called social engineering. So the first way is physically attacking the system, or physically opening up vulnerabilities in the system. What this means is that if you're going to attack a company, that company is in a building. So you are going to try to gain access to that building in order to either steal information directly from the equipment in the building, or to open up a breach in their electronic defenses so that you can sit in the outside world and hack from there. So when I'm talking about stealing information, I mean this may be literally walking in, picking up a server or picking up a computer and walking out the door physically. This may be using a Linux live CD, plugging it into a computer, with your little flash drive and copying all the information to the flash drive and leaving. When I'm talking about opening a breach, what this means is that you go in to the company. So you either go in and you fake like you say, hey, I'm a computer technician. Can I look at your systems? And you go into the server room, or you get hired as a temporary employee. So you go in, so you have access to their computers. Somehow you go in and you get access to their computers, to their equipment, and then from there you can try to open up a breach for an attack. So if you're sitting there as a temporary employee, you may then try to get into the router. If the router has default username and password, you might be able to open that up, and then you may be able to open ports so that you can access the system later. Or you can go in there and you can read the information to see what ports are forwarded to where, so that you have an idea of what systems you can attack from the outside world. Or nowadays, with these new netbook or net top computers, you can have a fully functioning computer that's about that big. So if you had one of these computers set up with all the hacking tools that you needed, you could literally walk into one of these offices as a temporary employee. You could find some little hidden corner. There were a lot of hidden corners in offices, with a live jack. You just go over, you plug your little net top into the live jack, you plug it into a power outlet, and now you have a computer sitting inside their network that can access all of their servers, all of their computers. If you have a way for that little computer to then phone home, you can then be able to access that computer from the outside world. From there, you put a little sticker onto that little net top that says, "Security system, do not unplug." And that thing will probably sit there forever because nobody is ever going to want to unplug it, because that is a security device. That is a big thing. If you're going to be plugging in these kind of systems into the target building, putting stupid little stickers like "security, do not unplug," that will actually help you, because the secretary or the boss will come over and go, "Oh, what is this thing?" And they'll pick it up and they'll say, "Oh, it says security, do not unplug." Okay, so we won't touch that. But these are the ways that you can physically attack the network. So like I say, this is where you go to the physical office space, the physical building. You're going to try to gain entry however you can. Like I say, you may go in, you may say, like I say, that you're a computer technician. "Hi, I was called by Eli or I work for Eli the computer guy. I was told you have a problem. I need to get to your server room ASAP." And a lot of the receptionists will go, oh, okay, I'll get you there. And then you just walk through the door and you go to the server room and you can do whatever you want. Or you can go in as a temporary employee, try to gain access that way. Or a lot of these buildings have waiting rooms and such. So you may be able to go to the waiting room, and a lot of times they'll have active network ports on the wall, and you can just plug into that active network port and be able to access the network that way. The final way that you can attack physically is, of course, war driving. I don't don't know why it's called war driving. War driving is where you go around and you try to find open wireless access points, so wireless access points that have no security on them. Well, you may be able to pull up outside that building and find that there is a wireless access point that has no security on it, and you can hack in that way. So these are the ways that you would physically attack the building. Now, the digital ways that you would attack the building are the standard ways that you think of with hacking. So, if you're trying to do destruction, so if you're trying to take a network offline, you may do what is called a denial of service attack or a ping of death. I don't know if ping of death still work, but basically what you're trying to do is from the outside world, you're trying to flood the target with so much data that it brings all the computers on the inside of the network to a standstill because they can't get out to the internet. So with the digital stuff, basically this is your standard hacking. So in the outside world, you're trying to find open ports, you're trying to hack into their email server, you're trying to hack into terminal server, you're trying to hack into their file server, etc. The way you do this is either through normal vulnerabilities, so problems with Windows operating system code, open firewalls, etc. You may use something called backdoors. Backdoors are a real problem in the technology world, where what happens is when manufacturers create software, a lot of times they create multiple ways to access different points within the software so that they can do testing. So basically, if you're sitting there and you're trying to test how a piece of software works, you don't always want to have to log in, and you don't always want to have to click through different screens to get to the place that you're looking to get to. Sometimes you want to be able to just get to that place. Well, a lot of times those back doors are still open when the manufacturer sends off the software out to the public. So if you understand where those back doors are, you can access the back doors and get into the software, the computer that way. The final thing with the digital way is things called Easter eggs. Easter eggs, I don't think they're as prevalent as they used to be. Basically, Easter eggs were extra features that computer programmers added to pieces of software that only worked if you knew how to make them work properly. So you may have remembered Easter eggs a lot from the old Nintendo video game consoles. If you pressed a button 5 times and left button 3 times, then up, down, over, upper, up, whatever, you may get a million lives, or you may never be able to die. Well, computer programs such as Excel, Windows, etc., a lot of times they had Easter eggs. I'm not sure if they still have Easter eggs anymore, but they had those kind of Easter eggs that if you know that they exist and you know how to make them work, can benefit you. Now, the final way to attack the systems is through something called social engineering. So social engineering isn't about computers. So we're not breaking into the building. We're not hacking the system like you would normally think of hacking the system. What we are doing is we are trying to acquire data from normal human beings, generally by telling them we're people that we are not. So basically, like this, is if you call up the target. So let's say you're calling up the target of your attack, and you get the receptionist, and you say, "Hey, and you're on the phone. Hey, I'm a computer technician. I was just called by your company. Listen, I need remote access to the server. I didn't get the password down. Can you give me the username and password so I can remotely access your server?" And they may go, Oh, you're with a computer company? Okay, yeah, the username is administrator and the password is this, and here's all the information. So basically, social engineering is going in and saying that you're somebody you're not to try to acquire data from people. So this may be, sometimes I've had this happen where people call up and they say, "Hi, I'm with Verizon. There's a problem with your bill. You're 2 months late on your bill. So we need to fix this. So if you can give me your password for your account, we'll get into your account and we'll figure out what's going on." Well, this isn't that I called them. This is just a random call. And then normal people go, "Oh my God, my bill's late? Yeah, my password is Foxtrot 94. And the person goes, oh, thank you. Okay, yes, I see your account. It is 2 months overdue. Would you like to pay that by credit card? And then you sit there and you think, well, it shouldn't be 2 months overdue. I've paid it on time. Well, sir, if you don't give me the credit card information now, you will be disconnected in 3 days. Oh, well, I tell you what, okay, I'll give you the credit card information, then I'll figure out what's going on. So my credit card is a Visa 9199-666444. My CSV number, or whatever, is 930. Thank you, sir. Yes, we will make sure that your telephone stays on. So that person was able to call, impersonating somebody. They were able to get the passcode to your account, and they were able to get your credit card information simply by stating that they were from Verizon. This is what happens in the real world, and this is something called social engineering. So social engineering is basically, it's where people play act to try to get information or data out of you. So these are the main ways that you attack systems. Like I say, either physically, you actually go in there, you go into the building, you go into the premise, you either install a system or you physically take something. There's digital. Digital is the normal way you think of hacking. So this is where you sit out in the outside world and you try to send viruses in or try to send malware in, etc. And then finally there's social engineering. Social engineering, like I say, is you have to be very careful. This includes things like phishing scams. So this is where you will get fake emails that says, I get this a lot. Your PayPal account has been compromised. Click this link here to make sure your security settings are okay. You click the link, you then go to a website, it says PayPal, you put in your username and password, and then it says, I'm sorry, the system is down for the moment. But the hacker grabbed your username and password when you plugged it in to their little fake website. We're going to talk about phishing attacks more in another class. So these are the ways to attack systems. Now the next thing that we need to talk about is we need to talk about planning the attack and the overview of how you plan for an attack. The first thing that you have to think about is, what are you trying to get out of the attack? What are you trying to get out of the hack? I know a lot of people now, a lot of the public is all worried that people are going to steal their usernames and passwords for their bank accounts, for their online banking. And I was worried about this for a little bit, and then I went on to the website and I looked at my online banking, and I looked at what I could do with my bank's online banking, and it really wasn't a whole lot. Somebody might be able to cause me a little bit of a pain in the butt if they hacked into the account. But realistically, there's not a whole lot they could profit off of if they simply hacked in to my online banking system. There's just, like I say, you can make a mess of things, but it would take all of about 5 minutes to fix, and so it's not really worthwhile. So what you need to be thinking about is what is profitable to hack. So instead of trying to get people's usernames and passwords to bank accounts, things like PayPal accounts. PayPal accounts can actually get you money. eBay accounts, Amazon.com accounts, kind of e-commerce sites where people put in their credit card information. Though that kind of information is what you can use to actually make some money or make this valuable. Again, things like contact information. Stealing millions and millions of people's contact information just randomly isn't really worth a whole lot to most people. But if you steal all of the contact information for a competitor, that is worth a lot of information. So if you're going to be doing the hacking, you have to be thinking about what you're actually trying to accomplish. If you are the parent trying to make sure that their kid isn't doing stupid stuff on the computer, you really have to be thinking about what data you are trying to acquire. Are you really trying to acquire all of their instant messaging chats, all of their emails, everything that they do on the computer? Or are you trying to just get one little snip? So you really have to think, what is either valuable to you or what can you actually sell? Like I say, I've seen a lot of hackers. They go out there and they just steal crap loads of data, but But who cares? It's kind of like the person at the flea market where they have a really big stall, but it's all garbage nobody wants. That's kind of a lot of hackers out there. You know, they steal a lot of stuff, but who cares? Now, when you're thinking about doing the hacking and when you're planning to do the hacking attacks, you have to think about how you're going to do the hack. So are you going to do a mass attack? Is this something where you're going to try to deploy viruses and spyware and all that just willy-nilly all over the internet, and you know, whatever information you grab is whatever information you get? So this is where you've heard about things like botnets. So you have all these little pieces of malware out there that grab information from each individual computer. They send that information to servers, to nodes out on the internet, and then those nodes then send the information back to main servers. You know, so basically, are you trying to do a mass attack? Are you trying to do a semi-targeted or targeted attack? So a targeted attack is, like I say, let's say you have a competitor. You have a specific competitor. The competitor is that guy over there. Then if you're trying to go after them, that is a targeted attack. So that is saying, I want some information from those people, or I want to disable you know, that company. So I want to take that company down. That is a targeted attack. Or are you looking at a semi-targeted attack? This is generally, are you trying to attack companies or organizations within a particular industry? So this is, again, you know, where I talked about those hackers that are trying to attack the lawyers that are going after these people that pirated movies. They are doing a semi-targeted attack. So they're not attacking everybody on the web willy-nilly. They're not trying to shut down all websites. They are simply going after websites specifically for lawyers that are attacking pirates. So this is something that you really have to think about when you're planning your attack. So is this going to be mass? Is this going to be semi-targeted? Or is this going to be targeted? Then once you figure that out, again, you have to understand what information that you're trying to get. So, you know, are you trying to get credit card information? Are you trying to get email messages, etc.? Then you have to think and you have to plan on how you are going to actually get that data, how you are going to do the attack. So this is just like planning any network. This is just like planning any web design or surveillance system or telephone system. You have to sit down and chart out what are the results you want, what software do you need, you know, what vulnerabilities do you need in order to penetrate, etc. So basically, you then have to sit and make a plan. Again, I really want to stress this. Everybody thinks hacking, and this is for hackers, and this is for security people too. Everybody thinks hacking, again, is an hour thing, a half an hour thing, you know, a day or two thing. A real hacking attack, especially against something like a targeted company, this may be a year or two process. So you may go in and do social engineering in the beginning. Just walk into the receptionist and say, hey, I'm a sales consultant. I was just wondering, who is the CEO here? And they tell you the name. Can I get his email address? Okay. And who's your CIO? Oh, okay. And what's his email address? And so you now have those people's information. Now, a month later, you may go and you may do a history report of those two people, let's say the CEO and the CIO. And you can say, okay, the mother's name is Wilma Mary Flintstone. The father's name is Bob Jake Flintstone. Well, now you have the maiden names for the mother. So you know, as you go forward, that may come up as a security question later. So the main thing to think about is that this is a project just like any other project. You know, if you're building a surveillance system, you don't just grab a bunch of crap and throw it up in a day. You sit there and you make a plan. The thing with hacking is you have to make a plan. So, you know, if you want to do a mass attack, you have to come up with what is the malware? What kind of software are you going to install onto these people's computers? How are you going to get it installed onto people's computers? Again, everybody thinks it's easy. Viruses spread like viruses. Well, getting that to happen actually takes some creativity. Then when this malware gets the information, how is it going to transmit it back to the nodes on the internet? How often is it going to transmit it? Is it going to be encrypted, etc.? Once it goes back to the nodes, how often are the nodes going to then send the information back to the home servers? If the home servers are taken offline for some reason, can your little botnet automatically be modified to point to other home servers? These are the things that you're going to have to be thinking about when you're planning your attack. Now, the final thing that we have to talk about is how you protect yourself when you are making these attacks, when you have decided to start hacking. The first thing that you have to understand, you have to keep this in your mind at all times, is all of your activity on the internet can and usually is tracked. So through routers, through firewalls, through computer systems, etc. All of these systems are logging information, and you can be tracked using this information. What you have to understand, though, is that there are, what, 1 billion people on the internet right now, all doing 1 billion things a day. So although at any point in time you can be tracked, it's usually not worth anybody's effort to track you down. So like I know with Everyman IT, I see the hack attacks coming in. I look at my log file, I see that my firewall stopped the attacks, and I don't go any further. Why? Could I track down these jackasses? Could I get on a jet and go to China and beat somebody's face in? Yes, I could do that. Is it worth my time? No. So what you have to understand is that you can be tracked, and when you hit a certain pain threshold for your target, they may very well get on a jet or call the FBI, and you may get your face beat in if you do not make sure to protect yourself. So when you're doing hacking, do not take your standard computer at home, plug into your little internet connection at home, and hack. Why? Because if you actually do something impressive, people will track you down, and it will just get very, very bad. The first thing that you should do is you should hack from internet connections that are not related to you. So what this means is if you're going to be launching a hack attack, go to a cafe with an open internet connection on the other side of town. Don't go to your favorite cafe and launch an attack. Go to a cafe that you've never been to in your entire life and sit down and use their internet connection to launch the attack. Or do war driving. War driving, again, is where you go through neighborhoods looking for open wireless connections. Again, don't do this in your neighborhood because, like I say, all of that logging will have time codes associated with it. So they will know when things happened. If people know you, they may, etc., be able to track you back that way. So go to a neighborhood 5 miles away. Do your little war driving, sit there with a computer in the middle of the night, and do your attack that way. Basically, you want to be using an internet connection that has nothing to do with you. Really, you basically get a map of your town, get a dart, and blindfolded, throw it at the map, and that's where you should do your war driving. This should not be, this should not be anything that will come back to you. The next thing is you need to make sure to leave no trace of your activities on your computer. This is a big mistake for hackers, is again, like I say, when you boot up a computer, all computers, almost all computers, create temporary files. They create log files, etc. So after you're done with the attack, most people don't delete those log files. So all those temporary files are sitting on your computer. All those log files are sitting on your computer. So if somebody is able to track back to you, they're able to get a warrant for your computer, they get your computer, they open it up, and hey, look, they find all these log files with times that correspond to when these attacks took place. So you need to make sure that there's no trace of the activities on your computer. Now, the easiest way to make sure there's no trace of the activities on your computer is to use somebody else's computer. So, you go into a public library that has a computer sitting there. You go into some of these cafes that have computers sitting there. The next way is you could buy like a little netbook computer and then throw it away when you're done to make sure that there are no traces left. You can, if you're feeling lucky a little bit, you can use Linux Live CDs or Windows, I think they're called BART PE CDs. What these are operating systems on a CD. So you put that into your computer. I would suggest you remove the hard drive to make sure that no incriminating evidence is put onto that hard drive. You put that into your computer, everything gets booted off of that CD, and then you are able to hack using that CD. No temporary files are installed in your system, no log files, etc. The one thing that you have to be careful about with this is more and more companies are trying to actually put hardware tracking information into computers, so you should be careful that the computer that you're using doesn't have some kind of hardware tracking information. Once you do that, so you're going to use internet connections that have nothing at all to do. You don't go to your high school and use a computer. You go to somebody else's high school, not one that your friends go to. That's what I'm saying. Don't go to the library in the neighborhood. Go to entirely a different library. The next thing is, if you need to make transactions, make sure not to use your credit card or your debit card. They have a lot of prepaid credit cards out there now. So if you think that you're going to have to buy something for this hack attack, etc., make sure to go out and get one of those prepaid cards. And make sure when you buy that prepaid card, you pay for it in cash, because cash is basically a non-traceable form of currency. If you use your credit card to buy one of these prepaid credit cards, they might be able to track back. If you just use cash, they shouldn't generally be able to track that back. Again, with telephones, don't use your telephone. Use one of these prepaid phones out there. I think the Virgin phones, Boost phones, they just have a lot. $50 you can buy a phone. Again, just pay cash for it. If you use a credit card, that's something that can be tracked. So these are the things that you should think about. Finally, now when you're doing the attack, like I say, if you're doing a real attack, you are probably going to have to be near the target or on the premises at some point. Like I say, whether you're walking in the door to sweet talk the secretary, whether you put on a uniform and act like a security guard or a repair technician. What you need to understand is there is the possibility out there that you're going to get caught, that somebody is going to be smart enough to go, hey, that's not our real computer guy. So when that happens, what you need to do is you need to run. You need to run as fast as you can. So basically, if you get caught doing this attack physically, you run just as fast as you can. The reason you're going to run is because if you sit there and you try to talk yourself out of the situation, you're probably not going to be able to talk yourself out of the situation. People think, we all like to think we are much faster on our thinking than we actually are. The fact is, most of the time when people get stressed, when there are 2 or 3 of these boss type people surrounding you, you kind of freak out and you don't talk and you lose control of the situation. If you're going to be losing control of the situation, just run. Run, run, run. Run just as fast as you can. Run, Forrest, run! The reason is because if you run, most people are not going to run after you. And hopefully, if you're in a little bit of shape, I know you may be thinking all hackers should be like these computer guys, they're all fat and like pimple faced. If you're a hacker, you should be in pretty good shape. You should be able to run a couple miles. So if you're running, the chances are that the office worker or that CEO is actually a tub of lard, and they are not going to be able to run after you. You run just as fast as you can to wherever your car is hidden, and then you try to leave. If you get caught by anybody, basically deny everything. Just deny everything. If they have video camera of you in the building, you look at it and you go, wow, that must be my brother. And they go, oh, what's your brother's name? I don't know. I didn't know I had a brother until I saw that video. The reason is because, again, most people think that they're smarter and quicker than they are, and the reality is that they get themselves into trouble, that they start admitting to things that they didn't intentionally mean to admit to. So if you deny absolutely everything, no, that's not me. Are you male? No, I'm not male. Is your hair brown? No, my hair's not brown. Well, what color is your hair? It's the color my hair is. Basically, you deny everything. Remember, we are dealing with the American criminal justice system. I'm not talking about the Chinese criminal justice system or the Russian criminal justice system. You know, they'll just shoot you. I mean, that's, we think you broke into the building, we just want to make sure, bang, you're done. But hey, here in America, remember that you have to be convicted beyond a reasonable doubt in order to have any kind of punishment placed against you. So if all you do is deny everything, it is very hard for anybody to come up with a case, and most likely the police just are not going to follow this through. Again, if you're going in, if you beat somebody up, that's something that police can sink their teeth into. You know, if you rape a woman, that's something police can sink their teeth into. You know, you break into a car, you do those kind of crimes. Those are things that piss off the public, that piss off the police, that piss off the lawyers. If you go in and you're trying to launch a hack attack against some company, the police don't even really understand what the hell you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand why you would be doing it. They don't understand the benefit of why. And so the chances are you are going to walk and nothing is going to happen to you as long as you're not walking out like literally with the server. At that point, it's grand theft. But you know, so that's something to think about. Again, you know, if you get caught with a hack attack, remember there's a, you know, I have my degree in criminal justice, and there's something called the criminal justice funnel. So out of all the crimes that are committed in the world, you know, there's only a percentage of those crimes that the people are actually caught. And then out of 100% of the people that are actually caught, you know, the police grab them. Out of that, only 2% of the people actually have punishments against them. So out of that 100%, so out of every 100 people that the cops catch, only 2% go to jail, get probation, get fines, etc. The criminal justice funnel, the people that actually get punished, are very, 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 very small. So the more complex you can make your attack, the more, you know, the less that people can understand what you're trying to do, the more you deny everything. It just muddies the water. So then even if you do go to court, nobody's going to understand what crime it is you try to commit. And even if you do get a punishment, you might get something like trespassing, but that's about it. Because think about it this way, you know, if you're on the premises and you don't actually steal anything and you run, what are you actually going to get charged with? You haven't stolen anything, at least yet. You know, all you did was impersonate a repair person and walk on the premises. So that might be trespassing. That might get you a little community service. That's it. So that's the thing, is if you're on the premises, run, and deny everything. So that was a class introduction to hacking. You know, like I say, this is the beginning of this hacking track. You're just trying to get you into the mindset of hacking. And again, you know, I'm coming at this from the malicious hacker standpoint. The reason that I'm coming at this from the malicious hacker standpoint is that if you understand how hackers really think, it is easier to defend against them. Most of the security classes that I've been a part of, the problem is you have all these clean-cut little mamby-pamby college kids who haven't done a bad thing in their entire life, who have at no time in their lives ever had to run from the cops, ever done anything bad, and they are learning security against hackers. But the thing is, they don't really understand how hackers think, how criminals think, and therefore how can they really ever protect against them? So what I'm trying to give you in this hacking track is the idea, how do hackers think? How do you plan an attack? How do you go in and how do you destroy systems? just for shits and giggles. You know, if you looked at a company and you said, I don't like that company, could you take that company's system out tomorrow, next week, etc.? That's what I want you thinking about. It doesn't mean I actually want you to do it. So you know, legal, warning, whatever, anything that you use personally that I teach you in this hacking track is all on you. This is a technical skill set. That is it. So we talked about what hacking is and who hackers are. So hacking is simply non-conventional ways of interacting with systems and acquiring data. That's it. So if you're getting to data or if you're working with systems in ways that are not in the user manual, that is hackers. We talked about black hat, gray hat, and white hat. So hackers. Black hat hackers are the evil hackers. They're trying to destroy stuff. They're trying to steal credit card information, etc. White hat hackers are the angels of the hacking world. They only hack for good. You know, they hack so that they can find vulnerabilities, so that they can patch vulnerabilities. You know, they're the little goody two-shoes of the hacking world. And then there's gray hacking, where most of us fall in, and that is basically, you know, depending on who you are talking to, they may think you're a sinner or a saint. That is what makes gray hats gray hats. Basically, if some people think you're great and some people think you're evil, then you're gray hat, and then you're in the middle. Talked a little bit again about ethical hacking. Ethical hacking, I argue, is simply a marketing term to make people feel better about themselves. I am an ethical hacker. I don't know, in my book, hackers are hackers. That's just how it goes. We talked about why you hack. So it's to acquire information. You know, whether it's to recover data off of a dead hard drive, whether it's to steal people's credit card information, etc. It is to acquire information. Or it is for impersonation. So you're going to impersonate a person or impersonate a system. We talked about the destruction. So maybe you're just trying to take out a system. So you're trying to do denial of service attacks on websites. Maybe you're just trying to delete all the information on somebody's server, you know, if you're trying to take out a competitor. And then finally, it's fun. A lot of people, you know, some people play Sudoku, some people hack. On the level of hackers, and that's something that you're going to have to think about when you're thinking about hacking or protecting against hackers, is you have the computer science types. These are very, very smart programming types. So basically, either they could have created the next version of QuickBooks, or they could have created this virus. And they decided to create this virus, just like a lot of criminals. They could have been a police officer, or they could have been a criminal. They decided to become a criminal. These are smart people. Do not look down on these people. These are very smart. For whatever reason, they've decided to hack systems, viruses, etc. Then you have the technician class. Technician class is like me. You're a professional technologist, but you simply use tools and software that have already been created. You know, I'm not out there programming new pieces of virus or antivirus software. I just use somebody else's stuff. Then finally, there are the script kiddies. Script kiddies are anywhere between 13-year-olds to mothers to fathers. Basically, these are people, they know that what they're trying to do. They don't really understand systems. They don't really understand how the software they're using works, etc. They just go, I need this to happen. So, you know, it might be the kid trying to destroy the teacher's computer, or it might be the parent trying to see what the daughter is saying on instant messaging. Again, they just get this little software, you know, just like they would get Word. We talked about how you attack. So we talked about the physical attacks, you know, actually getting entry into the building. So you do this, you know, maybe to steal the server, maybe to get access to computers so you can steal data off the server, or so that you can create vulnerabilities in their system or leave a system on their network so that their network is now breached. So like I say, one of those little net top computers, you plug it into a jack somebody forgot about, and now you have access to the entire network. You can get into the network as, let's say, a temporary employee. You go to one of these temporary job firms. They send you out to some, you know, Fortune 500 company, and you get in the door that way. Or you can go in and you can pretend, you know, I'm the exterminator. I'm the this. I'm the that, or the other thing. You know, when you do this, make sure you have all the accoutrements so people think you are who you are, and just go in. So if you're the exterminator, you say, hi, yeah, I'm the exterminator. We have an appointment to spray some stuff. And the person will go, oh, okay, as long as you have that little spray can, you walk around, you do the spray. If anybody confronts you about it, you go, well, I have an appointment here. Somebody left a message. I had an appointment here at 3 o'clock. This is what I was told. And if they confront you further, you go, oh, I'm sorry. This must be the wrong address. That's the kind of thing of how it happens. You have the digital way of attacking the systems. Again, this is what you normally think of as hacking. This is when you can sit on the outside world. You actually try to hack into the servers from the outside world, etc. And then you have social engineering. So social engineering is, again, where you actually talk to people and try to get information out of them that way. So you go in and you say, hey, I'm with AT&T, can I have your password, etc. Or you come in, you say, hey, I'm the computer person, can I get the remote access to your servers? You'd be surprised. A lot of times people give that to you. So then you have to think about planning the attack. The first thing is think about what you are actually trying to accomplish with the attack. Again, hacking attacks, everything in computers is about planning. Computers and technology, it's all about planning, it's all about projects, no matter what you're doing. And so with hacking, it's the same way. What are you trying to accomplish? What data are you trying to get? Why is it valuable? Who are you going to sell it to, etc. You can get all the information in the world, but unless either you can use it or somebody is willing to buy it off of you, it's not valuable. So you have to make sure you understand what you're doing. Then you have to look, are you doing a mass attack? So you're just going out there, this is commodity hacking, or are you doing a targeted or semi-targeted attack? So are you saying, that is my competitor, I want to take that competitor down. Then once you know what you're trying to get or what you're trying to do, you understand how you're targeting your attacks, then you sit down and you come up with a plan. Again, the plan, it may be a day or two, but some of the good hackers, this may be a year or 2-year process. Like I say, going in, finding out who all the people are that run the company, then getting information on those people, then doing this, coming up with a whole dossier on the company. And that's how you can go and you can attack. Finally, we talked about protecting yourself. Again, remember, this is very important, for the security people and for the hacking people, is when you are on the internet, you are almost always being tracked. The main thing is, and the main reason most people don't get caught, is it's not worth the security person's time or energy to track you down. So they see the attacks on their system, but who cares? It's not worth the time or energy to track the person down. Well, if you hit their pain threshold, if you make your attack so painful, they may decide to respond. Then that response may be either through their own money, calling the FBI, calling the police, etc. And at that point, remember that you can be tracked. That's why it's important, if you do hacking, don't use your home internet connection. Don't use the internet connection at the cafe you always go to. Go to the cafe on the other side of town. Like I say, take a map, put your hand over your eyes and throw a dart at the board. If you're going to be doing war driving, or if you're going to be hacking using somebody's internet connection, do it just from a random place so it doesn't come back to you. Again, like I said, with the login and everything, your system also logs all this information. This is a big problem, like I say, with the hackers. The FBI knocks on the door, they come in, they take, and that's the thing. They don't just sit at your computer and look at the information. They take your servers, they take your computers, they take everything. And then after they get done analyzing it at whatever point in time, they may or may not give it back to you. So it's very important that you don't leave any traces of what you're doing on your systems. If you use a normal Windows computer, Windows 7, and you go hacking people, there are log files. There are lots and lots of log files. There are lots and lots of temporary files. If you leave those log files and those temporary files on your system, the police will find it, and that's the smoking gun. Even if you delete those log files, there are ways to recreate those log files, and there's a smoking gun. That's where I was saying use something like a live CD, which doesn't actually store any data onto the hard drive of your computer, or use a disposable computer, use a random somebody else's computer, etc. Again, if you have to make any payments, prepaid credit cards, prepaid phones, you know, if you have to do any communication, and always pay with cash, because then there's no trail past the cash. If you are on a target premises, as I said, run and deny everything. If you think things are going bad, just run. Most people are not going to follow you. If you have a little bit of a disguise on, you know, you should be fine. Even if you do get caught, deny everything. Deny absolutely everything. Because, like I say, unless you actually have a server in your hand, remember, we're dealing with the American. Woohoo, God bless the USA. You know, criminals love it. We're dealing with the American criminal justice system. They have to have something to charge you with that's worth their time and energy. Simply you being on a premises in a workman's uniform, they may not like it. It may technically be against the law, but is that really going to go to court? As long as you, I mean, if you have a server in your hand, if you have a $5,000 server and you're trying to walk out the door, you're probably going to jail. But if you were just on the premises doing suspicious things, what are they really going to charge you with? So just deny everything. You know, we talked about that whole little criminal justice funnel. Out of 100% of the people that are caught, only 2% actually have punishments levied against them. So this was the Introduction to Hacking class. I hope you enjoyed it. Now that you have an introduction, you have an idea of what's going on, we're going to dive into things like hacking DNS, phishing attacks, you know, get into all of the attacks and the fun stuff. But you really do have to have a kind of understanding of what's going on. So as you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here from Everyman IT. This was Introduction to Hacking. I had fun and I look forward to seeing you at the next class.